It's sad when criminal organizations nationwide come together to block and stop people from living their divine destined path. People who have real inheritances that was left behind by their loved ones, grandparents, great grandparents, aunts, uncles, etc. And you have criminal organizations tied into demonic covenant cults who most definitely practice demonic magic and low vibrational practices in order to bind entire communities and put entire communities under a spell and or spread lies and smear campaigns. But it's crazy how these individuals think it's okay to steal from other people. This in itself is demonic, right? This in itself lets you know that it's a spiritual war or ordeal that these entire cults and covens with corrupt law enforcement and corrupt federal agents, because the only way this type of thing can exist and thrive and go undetected without any checks and balances is if you have corrupt law enforcement and corrupt federal officials participating. Even if we agree that not all law enforcement is corrupt and not all federal agents is participating, they have cohorts and comrades and co-workers within their departments and their institutions that are corrupt, that they are smiling in the face with and probably eating lunch with and passing by their cubicle on a daily basis. How do you counteract that? How do you create a divide and create a separation from those who are corrupt, who might have more superiority or higher clearance, and versus those honorable, honest agents who want to do the right thing and understand consequences for their actions and behavior? Believe it or not, many people, law enforcement is just people at the end of the day who took a test. Just like back in the day, I wanted to be law enforcement and I was in the best shape of my life, exercising and able to run and do, a bunch of push-ups on the spot. And, I went and took the test several times for state trooper and what you call those correctional officers. Law enforcement is just people at the end of the day, right? And that means that they too have a certain amount of intuition, even though they are trained to, go by the book and what they learn in class, just like, attorneys are trained to go by the book, their particular training. They're not trained to go by the actual law itself, right? This is why when people bring up things like the Constitution, it's normally, tossed out, or they're told not to mention that again, or they'll be held in contempt. This is because it's a whole different set of rules and regulations that the justice system or the courts go by. They're not going by the Constitution. That has been suspended, even though I believe it has been reinstated when the new administration came in. But for many decades, they was going by the commercial code. And so you have to understand that at the end of the day, these are people. And this is tied to a bigger picture insofar as it being a spiritual battle, a spiritual war. So you have principalities and demonic energies that weasel their way in, and I've constantly said this, into every facet of society, be it the justice system, medical professionals, your clergy, your fraternities, your sororities, right, your Freemasons, and that doesn't mean that all Freemasons have ill intentions or bad people, but we know that these organizations, and by every facet of society, every corner of society, that these demonic groups, these demonic cult and covens literally have weaseled their way in controlling the minds of their membership, of their clergy, etc. And so, with that being said, the only way that nationwide cult and covens is able to block communication and divert mail and commit mail fraud, which is a federal offense, only way that they're able to hide in plain sight and be bullies and clowns, the only way that they're able to stalk and harass on a physical level, right? Attempting to create stressors and, worries, and simultaneously backing it up with low vibrational demonic rituals and practices that's meant to cause sickness. Not only are they stalking you on the physical, being a nuisance, right? But now they have entities that you cannot even see, powerful entities that lock on to your body's frequency and bind you and attempt to mess with your mind and to have you thinking you're out of your mind, to have you thinking adverse thoughts that you would never think, you know. And then on top of that, these devils um, are using energy weapons to also attempt to force you to be in a state of illness, right? All of these corrupt, devastating, diabolical actions is taking place. And one has to wonder who in their right mind would willingly sell their soul to join these corrupt groups had they had all the information and had they known better and had they understood the consequences behind their actions and what would to come. And so many people who are not on their divine path chose to go on that side and join the head fallen angel. Many who are supposed to make a different choice, many who are supposed to adhere to the guidance of their spirit team and their beloved angels and ancestors, and were supposed to answer the call and get on their divine path, took it as a joke in a game. They scoffed at it. They spit in the face of their own spirit team. They ignored their own intuition. They failed to use their discernment, and they thought that they could play games, have one foot in and one foot out. So it stands to reason that those, even amongst them who understand that the dire consequences of, being a potential chosen one or star seed, or having an obligation to uplift humanity and raise the frequency of the planet, and choose to sacrifice other divine beings, the consequences are greater and they happen much sooner than if you were already marked for judgment, already a wicked and evil seed. And many of them acknowledge this. They would even say that those who are chosen, who, get out of line, or get out of alignment of the divine, you know, usually get their karma much faster, because that's correction, and that's the divine showing you that they love you and they're not allowing you to, get too far out of alignment, right? They'll acknowledge this. They've even said this, right? And understanding that, and them still continuing to do what they do, they've even gone as far as saying the reason why they understand what they're doing is wrong and evil, and they still continue to do it, is because whatever they participated in ritual wise that backfired, demonic practices attacking another divine being, now that entity is attached to them. That entity has gone back towards them, and they're now incapable, even though they understand what they're doing is wrong and evil and is going to create more demise and karma in their life and affect not only them but their loved ones and the people around them and their cohorts and those who participated and, beguiled and tricked them and pushed them to do certain things. Everybody is going to, suffer the consequences and feel it. And though they know this and they've admitted this, they still are incapable of stopping themselves and turning around. You know why? Because the backfire, the backlash, and those energies that they conjured up, that they summoned, has gone back towards them and now has taken over them and is doing to them, eating them from the inside, controlling them from the inside, doing to them what they attempted to commission and send those entities to do to innocent souls, innocent lives, unjustifiably. And so the backlash, when you begin to see beautiful beings who had the potential to answer their soul's higher calling begin to unravel before your very eyes, unable to cover up and hide what they've been participating in, even though this entire time they've been wearing a mask, pretending, gaslighting, love bombing, breadcrumbing, as if everything has been normal behind the scenes. They cut on the camera, they wear their smile, they wear their nice little dresses, or, they sit there pretending like everything is beautiful and wonderful behind the scenes, knowing full damn well that they are suffering in silence. They are crying alone. And opposed to them simply confessing which is not simple, obviously, opposed to them mustering up the courage to correct their actions and get back on track, which is not easy and simple, I guess. Due to the embarrassment, they choose to linger and wallow and stay in that low vibrational state of acting and pretending like everything is fine based on appearances because they don't want the consequences. Either way, if you confess, you have to also take accountability and accept whatever consequences of whatever you participated in, physical wise, insofar as the crimes that was committed, and spiritual wise, insofar as the rituals, the demonic practices they participated in to create demise in a divine being's life, right? So, what are the consequences? Well, that might mean they might have to give up the money that was stolen, the land, the real estate, but not only that, they might have to go away for a few years. They might have to go lay down for a few years, right? It doesn't have to be that long if they confess and admit to what they participated in. They might get a great deal. It might be for several years. But in that time, they don't see that the blessing is they can heal. They can finally be free. They can finally get a chance to sit down and relieve themselves of the pressure and finally begin to pull themselves back together and study and read and sleep and relax and exercise and eat healthy and, study and learn something new and take advantage of whatever services that's available to individuals in that circumstance. They don't see that there's a flip side to it. They're just afraid of being caught. They're afraid of having to give up their current lifestyle, their current, mirage of a life. And then spiritual wise, if they don't confess, well, now, whatever they wished and participated in and sent towards divine beings that was an abomination, blasphemy, unjustifiably, ends up coming back to them. So if they sent out the intention of death, that's what's coming back to them. Now they see shadows in and around their home, their apartment, their condo. Now they begin to experience shortness of breath. Now they have health issues. Now they are unraveling and they become paranoid. And now all of a sudden, they don't understand what's going on. They think that the Most High is trying to take them out and unalive them. They start blaming the archangels and Elohim and saying that they are allowing them to be attacked. Well, if you don't listen, you don't listen. It's no different than when your parents tell you, if you stick your finger in the socket, you're going to get electrocuted. You're going to get shocked. That's the consequence. Now, if you decide to be hard-headed and stick your finger in the socket anyway, they came from all the way across the street just to be over here. All right. So if you stick your finger in the socket, right, and you get shocked, exactly what you was warned that was going to happen, do you then turn around and look at your mother or your father, your grandmother, and say, "Oh, you trying to unalive me? It's your fault that I got shot," when they was the one that warned you in the first place? Does that make any sense? It's only somebody who is beginning to lose their faculties, their good common sense, that's so caught up in what they participated in, and they're starting to lose logic and reasoning, that will start to say, "Oh, grandma trying to unalive me because I stuck my finger in the damn socket and I didn't listen and I was hard-headed and I thought it was a game," right? But instead of people taking accountability and saying, "Damn, I messed up real bad. I shouldn't have played games, not with the divine, not with the spirit team, not even with my own salvation and my higher soul's calling." No, but instead of them being able to do that, and they take it to the limit by listening to the idiots around them because they so in love or they're digmatized or whatever the case may be, and they tell them to do this and do that. Don't give up. Hang in there. We're gonna get this money. We're gonna end up okay. And it's like, no, the universe already decided what's gonna happen no matter what we do. And because we chose to attack a divine being who has high clearance and high ranking in the spirit realm, it's the consequences is far greater. And those who guard and protect this divine being have risen to the surface, have awakened, and they made absolute guarantees. They said that if this continues, if this unfair, unjust ordeal continues, that they're going to start expiring and removing this entire organization off the scene, off the face of this planet we called Earth. Because all the warnings and extended mercies and grace have been ignored, shunned, and spit on. And as a result, there's no more mercy because it already expired. There's no more warnings. This is the type of criminal organization and demonic cult and coven that at the core, they're incapable of logic and reasoning and doing the right thing because they are corrupted. Those of you who went along for an adventure, a journey, you had the ability to get yourself back on track and on course. But at the same time, these individuals, like these idiots that stalk us and weirdo clowns that want to create disturbances and distractions because they belong to this demonic cult and criminal organization, are the type of individuals that go out of their way to stalk and harass these bullies, right? These bullies and clowns that want to be big, bad, and tough and stalk people just because they feel they can. The consequences for these type of idiots is real dire because they're angels and cherubim that want all the action with these fucking clowns. And so the ancestors in the spirit world will make sure that these cocksuckers get their just due. Fucking clowns. And so, with that being said, as I said it directly in his fucking face, you have to understand that we are as peaceful as we need to be. But make no mistake about it, we are warriors. And we are here to complete this mission at all costs. Just like these devils feel like they have to have other people's monies and energy and blessings at all costs, you as divine chosen beings have to develop a fucking spine, a backbone, and stand up against the injustices and do what's right instead of being a fucking clown and coward. Do you understand me? We don't need their permission to create and build this new world. We just have to decide to stop being cowards on the sideline and do what's necessary. I'm out of breath because I'm walking at the same time and I'm pulling this heavy carriage, this wagon rather. But anyway, over time, I've developed the characteristics and remembering who I am. These clowns can't move me, not one way or another. And so the matter is, you all need to get to the point where you accept and receive the same for who you are. Because if you're connected to Michael, Harar, Heru, Anpu, Anubis, Aset, Sachmet, Amunre, what the fuck is you scared for? Why are you afraid? These are the most powerful, potent warriors and beings who are also nurturing and loving. But when you get on their bad side, these are the most ferocious beings in all of existence. None of these principalities, clowns, and demons can fuck with them. So what you afraid for? If you under Sachmet and you one of her kittens, what you afraid for? If you under Michael and you one of his warriors, what you afraid for? He already cast these demons and devils down. What you afraid for? He was already given a scepter to handle these devils. What you afraid for? Maybe you don't truly fully accept and believe who and what you are and that these beings are tangibly real. You think of them as ghosts and apparitions. You don't realize that they truly exist. And they have the power to manifest directly in front of you or pull you into the plane of force at will and converse with you. Or come into your dreams and converse with you. What are you afraid for, Soul Tribe? Stand up, come together, begin to build and create the communities and green spaces that you would want your nieces and nephews and children and grandchildren to grow up in without being stalked and harassed. Create the grocery stores that they could go shopping in without being followed around the grocery store. Opposed, they can shop freely with a clear heart, clear mind, take their stuff up to the register, pay for it without 10, 20, 30 people over their shoulder pointing the phone, recording their screen. Come on, y'all. This is real serious, and I'm telling you, if y'all choose to stay cowards, the only choice you have is to fall to the wayside with these devils who are already under judgment. And you will be stuck and trapped here just like them for being a coward and clown. And those who muster up the courage will evolve and ascend, be escorted to safety. Those who argue and debate on whether or not what I'm saying is the truth or real fall to the wayside. Those who check with their spirit team and get confirmation either way will ascend. Those who ask, who does he think he is? I want to know. Spirit team, please confirm. Who does he think he is? Let me know. Once you get your answer, if you ain't talking to trickster spirits and trickster energies, you're going to get the proper answer that you sought out and sought after. But if your energy is not clean, and if you're already boggled down with negative energy, you might get adverse answers. And so, either way, you're supposed to be able to test those spirits, use your discernment, and be able to decipher on whether or not people are wolves in sheep's clothing, whether they are charlatans, liars, breadcrumbers, gaslighters, love bombers, fake false individuals selling you a mirage, a fantasy, or if that person or group or individual truly have your best interests at heart. The bottom line is y'all need to understand that this is a spiritual battle, a spiritual war. And again, we can be peaceful, we can mind our business, but when you got people approaching you for no reason, just out the blue, what's happening? What's staring at you retarded and crazy, trying to provoke? And all you doing is creating content and minding your business, thinking you a sucker and a pushover. And they approaching you, walking past, pointing the phone, trying to record, talking about some what's happening to get you to stop speaking the truth and telling the truth, telling your truth, by the way. This is what I'm talking about, these bullies and clowns. They think they dealing with the old me, the new me here. And I'm peaceful, but I'm not that pushover. I never really was a pushover. You know what I'm saying? I was worse when I was younger. Doing things when I was younger than I am now. Matter of fact, over the past years, as I got older, I became more too docile. But I'm being reminded, that balance is necessary. And that when people are trying to, but at the same time, those are tactics, y'all. So be smart and be wise. For the most part, every day they're trying to provoke and prod and poke, right? And I just move around that shit. Like, pew, pew, pew. I just move around that shit. Because this is a group of bullies. But going back to my original point, groups like this can only exist when you have corrupt law enforcement. This is a nationwide criminal organization, demonic cult and coven, that has federal agents, corrupt federal agents participating. They are blocking communication. They are stealing people's inheritances. They are sacrificing innocent souls. They are preventing people from coming together to try to block ascensions. Do you all truly want to be on that side? Those who were supposed to answer their soul's higher calling is already starting to experience the backlash from what they participated in, especially if it pertains to sacrificing another divine being, which comes with harder consequences. And you have to understand, it's no wonder why you're falling short of breath and being rushed to the emergency. It's no wonder why you're beginning to see those shadows go bump in the night. It's no wonder why the backfire is happening more dire to you, because you were supposed to know better, and you did know better, but you chose to ignore what you knew, and you chose to go on an adventure with these devils and demons anyway. And even then, when you had the opportunity to turn around, you chose not to. You chose to stay in the mud instead of pull yourself out of the mud and clean yourself up. Yes, it means confessing. There's no way around that. Yes, it means taking accountability. There's no way around that. Even if it means going away, laying down for 2-3 years, getting yourself together, getting your head right, getting your eating habits back on track, exercising, learning some new stuff, taking advantage of the services they got available, making the best out of the situation. But you got to take accountability one way or another. But either way, if you choose not to, you're in a position in the middle that no matter what side you choose, there's consequences. No matter what side you choose, there's a reckoning. Stay a coward, don't confess. Everything that you participating in, the energy that you put out is returning back to you. That's why you're unraveling, talking about, the Most High and the angels, they're trying to take you out. The devil's your friend, trying to teach you valuable lessons because the devil is your friend now. The devil is your friend? The devil is your friend. The archangels, the ones who warned you and loved you, like grandma told you, don't put your finger in the socket. Don't put your hand on the hot stove because this is the consequences for putting your hand on the hot stove. You get burned. Now you turn to her because you did it anyway. Mama trying to take me out. Mama did it. Mama didn't do it. Mama warned you. Now you blaming the angels and the Most High. And then now you saying the stove is my friend. The stove is my friend. The stove trying to teach me lessons, but Mama the one who did it. Because Mama had the love to tell me about it, but the stove is my friend. That's the equivalent of you saying the devil is your friend. The socket, sticking my finger in the socket is my friend. Because it's there to teach you lessons and give you energy. But Mama who warned me not to do that, and I got the shocked anyway, Mama the one who trying to take me out. Yo, it's sad to see it. Hopefully, before you go too far, hopefully you pull yourself together. Hopefully you pull yourself together. Hopefully you do what's necessary to get yourself back on track. But if you do not, you already see what you can expect. You already see what's happening. And this goes to show, no matter how much people turn the camera on, front and pretend like everything is fine and normal and dandy behind the scenes, there comes a point where all of that dissipates. The veil is removed, the illusion is removed, and they can't hide what's truly going on because it comes to the surface like cream. It rises to the surface. And they can no longer front and pretend and act like, I could just turn the camera on and live by fake, false appearances. Even those who went the wrong way and got into renter marriages and arranged marriages, because this demonic cult, that's what they do. They pass each other around, and you have to get into arranged marriages with people's friends and people you knew from the past, and they all end up clicking up with each other, sleeping with each other. It's crazy. But they even tell you, even though they know what they're doing is wrong, they can't help themselves because they have an entity attachment now. And they talking like they talking about other people, but they're talking about themselves. And y'all watch them say this, that they know what they're doing is wrong. They know they're developing more demise and more karma and backlash, but they can't help it. They have an entity. That's the same entity that they sent towards divine beings. But going back to my original point, if this operation don't shut down, these shadow realm ancestors that have risen, Anubis guaranteed, the ancestors guaranteed they're going to start expiring and removing, including those who couldn't call themselves colonels and captains and lieutenants and corrupt law enforcement and corrupt, federal agents. They're going to put the heat up under them because they supposed to know better and honor their oath of office. And because they choose to do nothing, this is the only reason why this criminal organization is able to thrive and get away with the crimes they're committing, blocking people from getting on their divine destined path.